Well, 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 indeed. Doing one more live stream for today before I decide to call it quits of it all. Granted, however, my first live stream was more of a rant than just summarizing the series of it all. More of all, a lot of people are asking, is this where you actually want your live streams to discuss about? It's not exactly summarizing the chapters of 2018. But now we're getting into another manga that I also has had some mixed opinions about these last couple of I want to say chapters, so to speak. Kingdom has actually in just 2 years ranked as one of people's favorite manga ever. And strangely enough, there are still a lot of more famous manga reviewers out there that still refuses to read Kingdom, where a lot of manga reviewers actually begins to open their eyes and say, "You read One Piece and you do not read like that," that kind of logic. So, what are my thoughts on Kingdom? Well, I wouldn't deny that Kingdom have truly been a road where I considered it one of the best and most enjoyable mangas for me to have ever read. But is it the best manga I have ever read? Well, to be frank, I'm a very difficult guy to please. And I'm not saying that everything is that I have extreme high standards. No, I have very low standards. For me, it's enough if it's a simple manga with that kind of theme and stuff like that. However, I will say that there are some things I like when other people do not like, and then vice versa, so to speak. And Kingdom has really been a manga where I have really seen things shine and evolve through enormous amount of character development and character in story. Because it's worth noting that for me, Kingdom is a very slow manga. And when I mean slow, I don't mean pacing slow. It has become very pacingly slow of late. I mean it more the real Kingdom, the Kingdom that I liked, didn't start until chapter 160. Don't worry, I read from the beginning to end, and the beginning is good, but the beginning art is a lot less impressive than the current arc. However, the way the story in Kingdom became much later, especially when Shin, the main character, finally got pants, it became a lot more enjoyable to read. Also because we no longer were any misunderstanding about that and that and that, so to speak. So I guess I'll say that for me, Kingdom have only become better the older it has become. Or is that the word you were looking for? I mean, or is it younger it has become? Well, the more it has been going on, the more I feel like Kingdom is really hitting where it really is best. But is it a masterpiece though? No, it is not a masterpiece, but it is an impressive story, at least for me. So how can we summarize it? Well, basically that this war orphan, after having lost his best friend, who turns out to be a body double for the king, young king, he decides to inherit the dream. Well, he has always wanted to have that dream, but he decides to truly become a great general of the heavens. And what can I say? Well, it's really the journey that has been taking him here has really shown that he has been grown as a character, and I like that. So, what is Kingdom's greatest achievement? I want to say they are realistic views they are taking these things, both in art, the violence, and anything more. This is based on history. I don't know how much is truth and how much is fiction. But spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't read history or has seen anything else, turn it away for at least 5 minutes or so, because now I'm gonna say it. I have read the history and I know what happened. What really basically happened is that this king united all at once, and that didn't mean that Sao would fall. The man that was based on Riboku would die a very horrifying death, but not by the hands of the military that invaded his country. And the guy named Kanki would leave his services and many things more. But it will also say that the guy that Shin is based on would be executed after he failed to conquer Wei. So exactly how much will be taken in history and fiction is not known, but it's worth noting that they have put a lot of it that is based on it. Granted, no one was there to see the true history. All that they have been basing upon is ancient hieroglyphs, or not hieroglyphs, ancient scrolls detailing the past. So I find that the history, the way it's portrayed here, as being one of the most enjoyable part of the kingdom. Then it's the art. Granted, I didn't like the art at the beginning, mostly because, okay, this is gonna sound pretty racist, but I guarantee you, it's not meant to be like that, okay? It's just how I thought about it the first time I saw it. I couldn't see the difference between the female and the male faces, at least not in the beginning. I know that is very controversial to say. I am not trying to say that I'm that kind of character. I have a symptom, okay? And that symptom is called ADHD and Asperger's syndrome. So I have said a lot of dumb things just out of sheer ignorance. It's just that sometimes the art is not exactly detailing what kind of gender that person is. But he became a lot better at it the older the manga became. So I guess that's how I like it. Also is the fact that war is not good. It is not good in real life. However, the very realistic way it's portraying here is something that I can praise it for. I have not seen war, and hopefully I will never do it. However, what I meant to say is, what we see in this manga, what the war is bringing, is horrifying, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people also accept it as the way of life because this is the worrying period. The war against in China has been going on for centuries, many long. So it's just that they accept it as a way of their life. That doesn't mean they will lie down and accept their death. No. They scream in horrifying as much as anyone else. What I meant to say is, when do you know you're going too far in war when there is no such thing as mercy in it? The best example of that, is in Kanki's world. Kanki is using guerrilla tactics to overwhelm his opponents. And while is that giving achievements in war, a lot of people do not like it because it's not war. It's basically just pure sadism. So it's the fact that when you ask yourself in this manga, when will you know you're going too far to win? Because there's no such thing as playing dirty in war, and yet there are limits that some people do not cross. I guess that's one of the way to say it. And also, since you joined me again in this live stream, Ricardo, you did say that history is written, decided by the winner. Yeah, I mean, that is true. But but again, this manga is basing that on history. It doesn't mean it will be 100% true. But it will be true that the guy who will unite China, he will unite China. But the guy that Ace was a lot more ruthless in real life. That much was sure. So if he will be it in this manga, we don't know. We'll just have to accept what we're seeing. But I have to say to people that that unification of China, it happened. It may not have become as peaceful as the manga is trying to say it, though. But I don't know. I didn't live around that time. So yeah, it's just that. Sorry, I had to throw something away. It's just that I guess that's two of the things that is great with Kingdom. I mean, the characters are good too. Sometimes they're pretty simple-minded, but you sometimes root for the villains just as much as you root for the heroes. And granted, there has been some changes in the people's gender just to create a little bit more diversity. For example, the person that Kyokai and the King of the Mountain is based on, they were not female in real life. I guess they added a female because, well, otherwise it would have become too much of a sausage fest, which, by the way, I agree with. However, the way they are portraying these female characters is pretty nice because, granted, there are some people who are saying that the war is no place for a female to be on. However, others just saying, so what? If you can hold a sword and if you can fight, it doesn't matter which gender you are. You just fight. And indeed, is saying that Kaio 10 is though a strategic, but it's true in that way too. So I guess they're portraying the females not in a negative manner, just as much as a warriors as anyone else. And it's not overplaying the fan service though, which is I don't really like. But Kingdom have had nude scenes. No, actually, yes, they have some sex scenes with female frontal nudity. And to be frank, I missed that. However, we won't see that anytime soon because that's not what Kingdom is about. It's more about blood and battles than anything else. So, whatever is gonna happen in the real world, or what's gonna happen to the unification, I don't care. I mean, Ricardo did say that Queen fell into, well, desolence after unification. Well, maybe it did, but we're not gonna follow through that. We're just gonna see all the different places of China being torn down and everything being united into one, and then everything is gonna collapse, I guess. I don't really know where it's heading, but I don't really care. I can agree I like the history in Kingdom, but I also agree that it should not be completely realistic because I hate reality. The real reality out there is nothing more than a lying, scheming scumbag. Reality is cruel and reality is unfair. So I prefer fiction over reality any day. It's just that history can sometimes be very interesting to portray in reality. But it's up to you to decide that. I have my own preferences. So, but other than that, Kingdom does have its flaws, though. Now, what this year of Kingdom has been really mixed for a lot of fans. As I said before, Kingdom became incredibly popular for a lot of people after these current years. However, a lot of people, me included, have complained that this year of Kingdom was not as awesome as the many before. So, so what can so what exactly can we say? What is about these 2018's Kingdom has been bad and what has been good? I think what has been bad is the fact that this war is slowing down immensely. When finally Shin got a taste of the action, he was actually put on sideline, and then he couldn't even overwhelm a great general of Cao because he has to, otherwise he can't evolve. And then we were switching to the Mountain King. Granted, the Mountain King war was not as bad as we thought it was because we finally got to see the Mountain King fight. And we got to see Heki doing at least one badass thing. But a lot of people did say that Heki didn't deserve that because Heki is not meant to be a badass fighter. But I did say to people, granted, yes, but at least he deserved to have something like that, right? So it also is the fact that we said goodbye to a character I felt like had a lot of potential. But in the end, we just saw his sister. But I have to agree that his sister, while arrogant and a little bit obnoxious in personality, she did have very big boobs, especially for someone who was so small. So she was pretty sexy. I guess we could like that. And in the end, the mountain tribe did get a second piece of army. So I guess it's just that. So I guess it's just good. Sorry, the good of it all. However, one of the biggest flaws of this war is the fact this hasn't been portrayed before. I mean, food has been referenced in Kingdom before, but this is actually the first war where they have a limited amount of supplies. It has not been referenced before. Not even in the coalition army, the food in that day was not at all referenced. So, and it's also the fact that no one really know how this war is going to end. The fact that food is running out and yet they're still fighting. So it's I mean, they cannot fail, because if they fail everything. And if they fail, then all the other kingdoms will invade Queen, and that will be the end of the manga. But according to history, spoiler alert, Queen would win against Sao. And I think this is the battlefield where that would happen. It's just that the author, Hara-san, or whatever his name is, you don't have to correct me on that, is not exactly sure on where he is landing, as Ricardo is saying it. He's playing around what he is of what he's doing here, and he's throwing in different emotional things that longtime fans of Kingdoms are not fan of, because it's just when it seems like Quinn is bouncing back from an abyss of despair, we're thrown into a new despair. There was the same with the Mountain Tribe. Even though they in the end won, it's worth noting that they cannot rejoin their allies, so it wasn't a complete victory. It's just that he is playing around with the many different things of Kingdom, so it's pretty difficult for me to really say, is this what I want to read from Kingdom? I wanted to read more fights, and we have seen fights. Don't get me wrong, we have seen some amazing moments. I think one of the favorite chapters of Kingdom, which one is that? What's that? Chapter 570? I mean, it's the Shin morale chapter, when Shin makes his troops fight harder than before, and the awakening. I have to agree, that was one of the most awesome scenes I saw of Kingdom of late. However, I'm not really sure what it's heading, and especially since a lot of people, me included, didn't like when we heard that Ohun was supposed to be defeated. It's just that we're being thrown in a situation again, a situation where we just said, make up your mind already. Are Quinn gonna win, or are they gonna lose? We're being thrown in these despair moments. We don't really know where it's heading. But I guess we just have to wait and see, correct? So what else is there to say? Well, if I'm gonna have guilty pleasure, I have to agree with Ricardo on one thing, and that is Shin ever gonna have a ship tease with Kyokai, or, well, Karyuten? Granted, he only sees Karyuten as his sister, but it has been confirmed from a very earlier arc, which, by the way, I didn't really like the way Fire Dragon arc. However, it's been confirmed from there that Karyuten wishes to find happiness together with Shin, which seems to imply that yes, maybe she does have a crush on Shin. But so far, Shin doesn't appears to notice, because, well, he has too much war on his brain, and to Karyuten is just the little sister he never had. Although at first he thought it was a little brother, but you know what I mean. So it's just many different feel of it all. So is Karyuten and Shin a possibility? It's not something that happened in history, at least not what I think, but we're not talking about history now. So it's the fact that Karyuten do not really show interest in Shin, but it has been implied that Shin wouldn't mind getting into bed with with Kyokai. However, he also knows that if he does, well, Kyokai will cut off his head. So yeah, it's also the fact that Shin has so much war on his brain that it's only been referenced once by Moten. Shouldn't you settle down and marry because you're 22 and it's people in your age tend to get married? And it's just that Shin is pretty shy when it comes to marriage and relationships. He's still a 22-year-old virgin. Granted, I was a virgin a very long time also. Yeah, I just made a very huge shame. And I still haven't found a girlfriend since that time. So I'm pretty lonely, I guess that's why I'm a sucker of seeing these sex moments. So would we see a love scene between any of these? And I'm saying, I'm not so sure about that. It would be pretty out of character for Kingdom. But if we saw a lovemaking scene, I would think we will see a whole chapter of that. And would a lot of people like that? That's the thing. It would be guilty pleasure, but I'm not so sure if we would approve of that. And do you know what I mean by that? Well, I'm actually referencing a new manga about that, but Tokyo Ghoul was simply that. They had an entire chapter that was just full of sex, well, a sex scene. However, a lot of people didn't like that sex scene. Not even I, for some strange reason. I guess it's just that it's it's just that how do you say this word? How it's portrayed, this love making. I guess that's how people will like it. Kyoka May said once that she wanted to have Shin's babies, but I also think like she is pretty naive to that. Ricardo reminded me of that. So it's just that. So even that some sex scenes may be likable, it's just that will we feel like it's appropriate? I don't know, but I don't mind a sex scene, especially since Kingdom. Oh, but only if it's a female and a male. Okay, if it's a lesbian one, I wouldn't mind that. Okay, now I'm being pretty perverted, but hey, I know a YouTuber who has a lot more dirty mind than me. At least more open-minded, dirty mind than me. But I'm not gonna tell who that is. So it's just that Kingdom is more about war, fighting, and stuff like that. It's not about ship tease and more. So we shouldn't expect anything of that anytime soon. But if it happens, I wouldn't mind that. If it's a love scene between a female and a male who just happen to be Shin and Kyokai. So I guess we will just wait and see, correct? So I guess it's also the fact that if that would happen, would Karyuten not be jealous? Again, we're talking about stuff we shouldn't talk about in Kingdom. Kingdom is all about war. It's also the fact, I think another reason why people have liked Kingdom is that Kingdom is very raw. And when I mean raw, it's not shying away from its gore. At least not in the manga. In the anime, they unfortunately censored that a lot. And I have to agree that the anime, both in the first and second season, were not that great. The second season had a lot more acceptable animation than the first one did. However, I do agree that it didn't really feel that awesome. And that's unfortunate because, the animation was how I was introduced to Kingdom the first time. And then finally they translated the chapters and the rest was history, you know. And I didn't review it until the war against, the Kanki situation war. But the anime unfortunately didn't do it justice. But I do not want them to remake the anime. If anything, I want them to make the anime when they have the coalition army. Because if you ask me, my favorite arc in the Kingdom was the coalition army. That was my favorite arc in Kingdom, or saga at least in Kingdom. It wasn't favorite to anyone else, but I really liked it because we saw a lot of characters, we saw a lot of fights, we saw a bundle of hope and despair. And so far, I feel like this arc we're seeing now is not yet on that level. So I actually wanted them to animate that final one because I feel like it would have been good. But unfortunately, the anime didn't do Kingdom justice. But it's also playing with the fact that anime has to be a lot more censored nowadays than it has to be in the old days. It was a lot more gorier than the before. Or it just may be that it depends on the studio who is going to animate that manga. But yeah, the anime of Kingdom didn't do it justice, and unfortunately, I think it hurt its popularity. I think Kingdom is more popular in the West than it's in Japan. But you can correct me on that. I don't know. So okay, what else is there to say about Kingdom? Well, the characters are great, mixed of many different personalities. But in the end, you can root for them. Do I root for the villains, though? No, not completely. But I think another thing that makes Kingdom great is the way it's portraying of loyalty. This arc, for example, have really shown that sometimes a person's desire for loyalty is so strong that they will practically kill themselves just to be with that person. And while a lot of people would complain that that is stupid, in this manga, they are saying it would be a great honor to join you in death. Because that's just how loyal they are. So yeah, I guess it works. Oh yeah, I forgot though that Kingdom is supposed to have a live action movie made of Japanese actors, I think, or was it Chinese actors? Ricardo, you reminded me of that. Am I excited seeing that? Well, I saw the Bleach live action on Netflix. Will I see the Kingdom? It depends on what they are gonna animate. Other than that, I don't know. So I may watch it one day if it's on Netflix later. So yeah, but we got off topic. What else is there to say about it? Well, it's a lot we can say about it, but we still don't really know. But I still don't really know how to summarize it. Kingdom for me, 2018, have been one of the times where I actually lost a little bit faith in Kingdom. It had too many moments which I didn't like, but it also still had moments where I did like. So if I were to do a ranking, where would I place Kingdom on my top 10? Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to make a top 10, and I'm doing a short live stream almost by the end of this year, where I'm gonna rank my top 10 red of this year, and then I'm gonna explain why I placed them in that number. However, I don't really know if I'm gonna portray them in the right number, but maybe Kingdom would be in the ranking of 5, maybe number 5 or so. We'll see. So yeah, Kingdom has been a very difficult road. Many of the later arcs hasn't been that awesome, but it's still been pretty awesome, and it is selling well. But I don't think it's selling outside of the West, at least not what I presume. But what am I looking forward to see in Kingdom? Well, I'm looking forward to see Sao lose. Ribuko finally getting off his arrogant horse and just losing humiliation. Am I looking forward to the return of Håkan? Håkan has been foreshadowed to return, but is it a possibility that he will return? That's a different story. And it's the fact that if he does return, then this will be the time he dies. I know that. If he doesn't die, if he returns and doesn't die, then I will be upset. So we'll see how it happens. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I guess that's my thought on the Kingdom chapters that has been going on. The morale is high, but despair is very strong. So, but the biggest problem Kingdom right now is the food. They're in a dilemma where they have to win this current battle, and yet it seems like they're not going to. So how do you presume what's going to happen? Do you want a Shin Kyokai romance? Would you prefer that before a Shin Karyoten romance? I say yes, I think I prefer a Kyokai and Shin romance. Do I think that will happen? Strangely, I think not. I feel like that would be too good to be true. And if it does happen, then I hope they're alone, if you know what I mean. Third of all, I look forward to see Ribuko lose. I just don't know how he will lose, though. According to history, he will be executed by his king in the most brutal and unfair way ever possible. So we'll see how it happens. And fourth, well, the potential soldiers of Quinn, Shin, Moten, and Ohon all seems to have potential, although it seems to foreshadow that Ohon is going to die. However, Ohon was based on a great general in the history, and I guess he had more achievements than Shin's character, so I guess we'll see how he survives. Although I want to see a little bit more of Moten, and hopefully he will, well, defeat someone. But the biggest flaw of this arc has without any doubt been Karyoten for me. She was so brilliant before, but now she has just been sweating and incredibly nervous, and to be frank, I don't like that. It's so out of character for her. She is a strategic, but it seems like she is being outplayed, and I don't really like the waste of a character there. Kyoka is the one who's getting more times to shine here, so I guess in the end, she is the one who has potential. I mean, she is the one who has been shining more. So will Kyokai be the one to take care of anyone? I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, we shouldn't count that out. I mean, if Ohon loses, maybe it's Kyokai and Shin who takes off those two heads of those two so great generals. But I digress. You can give me your thoughts if you have any. Okay, that's all I have to say now. Again, write in the comment section if you have any other thoughts.